In this lesson, we're going to be learning about relations and functions. And when I say relation, I mean the relation between x and y. So for example, if I give you something like this, y equals to 2x plus 3. Now this equation represents the relation between x and y. Another word for x could be what? Think of all the terms that you can define x by. One word could be domain, or it could be the independent variable. So domain and independent variable are the definition or another word to mention x. Now as for y, you can say that y is the range and basically is the list of y values, and you can say it's dependent variable because it depends on x. So basically what you need to do is to think of different terms for x, plug it in your equation, and then you will have your y. For example, if x equals 1, y would be 2 plus 3, which is a 5. So there you go, I have a point of 1, 5. So this is another representation of x and y where you can have them in coordinates. Now what we need to do is think whenever they give you different representations or different relations between x and y, you have to decide whether this representation is a function or not. So now we're going to be talking about the different representation that you can have for x and y. Now what you can have is that they can give it to you, as we said, in coordinates. And what you need to think of is this relation a function or not? Now to decide that, we have to look at all the x values. Now, the x over here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10. So as you can see, every single coordinate or every coordinate has a different x value. So then you say, yes, it is a function. Now let's look at the x. So as you can see, we're only looking at the x value. Now over here we have 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. As you can see, there are different x values, so yes, it is a function. So whenever they give it to you as coordinates, you have to look at the x. If x is repeated, then no, it's not a function. Now, they can give it to you in a table form. Again, it's the same concept. We have 2, -1, 3, 0, and -2. As you can see, no one x value is repeated, so yes, it is a function. So this is a second representation. The third representation is that they can give you something and you have like a statement and you have to think of it, like from city to zip code. Now, city to zip, let me think of this one first. Take a minute and think of it. Let's say I'm going to put it in a table form. So for example, if I think of Plano, I can have 75025, I can have 75086, and so on. So for one x, like Plano, did I write Plano? Plano 75025, Plano 75086, and so on. So as you can see, the x value, which is Plano, is repeated twice. Since the x value is repeated, so you say this relation is not a function, it's just a relation between an x and a y, but it's not a function since the x is repeated. Now let's take a minute and think of the other one. Pause the video and think of the other one on your own. Now, I hope you tried. Now, from each person in class to the number of pets he or she has. For example, I'm going to also put it in a table form since this is what we've learned so far. Like, I can write person, and this is like the number of pets they have. I can say like me, let's say Miss Ayubi. I have 2 cats, so I have 2. Can I write a Ayubi and write different number of pets? Does it work this way? No. Like each person will have a set number of pets. So for example, Jordan might have like 4 pets. Emily might have, for example, 1 pet. Let's say Jack. So Jordan, Jack. Jack might have, for example, 4 pets. So as you can see, each person is different. I might have another Jack, but he's Jack with a different last name. So he's a different person, a different X. So as you can see, the X is not repeated. Now the Y can be repeated. It doesn't matter. We don't really care about the Y because the Y depends on the X. So basically we need to look at the X. Since we have different X's, then yes, it is a relation. I mean, it's a function. This relation is a function. Now, so far we looked at different, like they can give you a statement and you have to think of it. Table is another type of relation, coordinates. Now let's move on and see what else we have. Now they can give you something like that, and we did mention this in class. What type of relation is this? This is a mapping. This is a different type of representation. Now the first one, since there is going from this, so this is X and it's going to Y, so this is one type of representation. And you can think of it in such a way, like if you want to think of it and to represent it in coordinates, you can do that. So as you can see, 3 matches with 5. And there's another 3 that matches with 7. And another 3 that matches with 9. So as you can see, there's more than one arrow going from 3. Which means the X is being repeated. So no, this is not a function. Now let's move on again. We don't care if the number on the Y value is repeated. We only care about the X. Now let's look at the other one. Pause the video, think of it, and play the video again. Now I hope you tried on your own. Now as you can see, the 0 matches with 3. So each number or each X value is mentioned once. There's no 2 arrows going from one number like over here. So yes, this is a function. Now let's move on to another way of representation. They can represent the relation between X and Y in a graph form. Now let's look over here. Now what you can do, one way is to take different values or different X or different points on the graph, put down the coordinates and decide whether it's a function or not. Another way, you can do something called the vertical line test, and which means basically is draw a vertical line and see in how many points does it touch the graph. So this first line touches the graph in 1 point. It touches in 1 point, so I'm good. I have to try another one. This vertical line touches the graph in 1 point as well, so we're good so far. So if you do a vertical line test, it should touch the graph in 1 point. If it touches in more than 1 point, then it's not a function. Since here, every vertical line cut the graph in 1 point, so yes, it is a function. Now, let me try the other one. This one, it's an ellipse. So when I do the vertical line test, oh, there you go. It touches in 2 points. So no, it's not a function. Now another way to think of it, like you can actually take those 2 points and think of them. So let me erase to make it clearer. Let's say it passes through these 2 points. So let's say I'm going to take this one and this one. Now this point, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is like 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 3. And this one would be 4 and -1, I suppose. So if you want, you can think of it in terms of coordinates as well. So this vertical line, cut them in 2 points, in 4, 3, and 4, -1. So as you can see, the X is repeated. So no, it's not a function. So you can either take coordinates from the graph or you can do the vertical line test. Now I'm going to give you a minute to go ahead and think of the other ones to decide whether it's a function or not. Let me make this smaller so you can actually see all of the graphs. So you have a couple of graphs, go ahead and think of them. Now I do hope you tried on your own. Now let's move on to this example. Now I know it's a bunch of dots, but still the vertical line applies, it's still a graph. Now this vertical line, cut 1 dot, 1 dot, 1 dot, 1, oh, 2. So this is not a function, and you can directly see it, but I wanted to go over each one with you. So you try a couple of, now let's try this one. Cut it in 1 point. So each vertical line test cut this graph, even though it's just like a bunch of points, in one point. So yes, it is a function. Now I think we still have one more. We have a line, so go ahead and draw certain vertical line test, cut it in 1 point, 1 point. So every vertical line test will cut it in 1 point. So yes, it is a function. So that is the lesson, basically, is to know the different representation that you can do for x and y and decide whether it's a function or not. So you can either have a mapping, a graph, a table, coordinates, or maybe a statement, and you have to decide from that whether it's a function or not. So this is the video. Please, after you finish it, continue the document under it.